go. Let me make sure I'm set up. Everything's where it's supposed to be. And good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. This is the Travel Nerd News, and I am the nerd, and we will read some news. We do have special guests this evening. So we will get to our special guest here in a moment. Let's say hi to everyone who is here in chat. So we've got real quick caution. I did rearrange my soundboard so I could add more stuff. And so as a result, hopefully it works okay. Well, let's go down the list. We've got Bodacious Enlightenment. And I've got really, really crappy Delta headphones because my other headphones are preoccupied with other things. So, anywho, that sounded terrible. Anyway, we've got Archie Jello. I like Jello. He says it's a typo later on. That's pretty good. Jello, my friends. All right, Bodacious. Let's see. Bodacious was not seeing live feed because I wasn't started yet. I'm a little, like I said, a little delayed. Things are. Yeah, it's been a kind of a hectic, busy day. It turns out. Let's see. All right, Badger is here. I looked for that book you recommended, Badger, and I couldn't find it on my. I might have to go to I think there's like a old. I don't want to call it antique bookstore based on the date. It might be in there. I might actually have to go to the public library, see if it's in the public library. So, but I'm curious about the book. So, hopefully I can find that. I would prefer it electronically, but if that doesn't happen, I will endeavor to get paper. So that's a novel thing these days. Not a lot of paper anymore. It seems like everything's digital, electronic. I still find it very satisfying to actually hold a book. So Archie says, had a wonderful sunny day today, raked and cleaned gutters. It was a perfectly crappy day here in the Boise Valley. Rain most of the day on and off and cold. Current temperature is 47 degrees with drizzle. So, yeah, I don't like that. That does not work for me, but I don't have a choice. Right. Team Devastation Zone. Hello from my combine in Illinois. Welcome. Bringing in, let's see, this time of year, it's pretty late in the year, corn, perhaps? Could be any number of things. Typically around here, at least in the Boise Valley, this corn would be one of the last things that they do and make silage for cattle feed. But welcome, Team Devastation Zone. Hopefully you enjoy the evening. But this says perfect hot cocoa day. I would agree with that. Team Devastation Zone must know who I am somehow or another. Hello to my favorite YouTube influencer and retired electrical engineer. It is a 1941 book, yes. Team Devastation Zone must know something about me. Do I know you? I'm very intrigued. Very intrigued.
Be excellent to each other.
And so, of course, I added since last time.
He made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Anyway, so I found the squirrel clip because I do that quite often. People who know me know that I will be talking to them and I get these random shots of inspiration and I have to share. And it's very off-putting. I understand that, but when you have the squirrel brain like I do, it's very difficult to not have the squirrel brain. So let's see. Badger talking to Team Devastation. Worked on a dairy farm when I was in high school. Yep. I helped out a little bit some of the local farmers when I was in high school. Actually, my dad took care of some farms over like holidays when people were traveling. And I remember like getting the small tractor out and digging a big pile of silage out and have it be steaming in the winter air. Very unique smell to all that. So, All right, let us move into the regular show. And at this time, looks like Jason's setting up. I'm gonna bring Jason in now. Jason. Ta-da!
Hello.
Hopefully everybody's seeing the two of us and Flight Radar 24. I'm gonna pull out on that. I was looking at the flights. Here's the lovely flights of today. 14,000 flights. It's interesting. When we did our show Monday, I believe there were like 17,000 flights. So we're down to 13,009. But like we do, we check out. I didn't see this last time. Most tracked flights. And interestingly, the most tracked flight right now is an ATR 76, I'm guessing, from Hamilton, New Zealand to Wellington, New Zealand. So I don't know why that would be. Okay, but it looks like 1,400 people are tracking that flight. There was one that was more interesting earlier. And Jason, feel free to comment at any time. I don't know. There's a lot of New Zealand folks tracking flights. So I don't know if there's something special happening in New Zealand, but there was one flight, and I'll just zoom in on this. What looked to be a United States military aircraft. Let's see, not that one. That was flying up and down the coast of Israel. Not El Al. There's a Boeing Poseidon. Maybe it's this guy. Anyway, of course, that's always how TV works. When I go to look for it, it is not showing up anymore. Royal Jordanian. But it was fascinating because it was... Oh, there it is. There he is. So that's an electronic surveillance aircraft, I believe. And it was going back, running loops up and down the coast. Gee, I wonder what it was doing.
He made me this collar
Imagine.
so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Anyway, so if you didn't have Flight Radar, you didn't know about that, you can look at most tracked flights. And as I always like to do, look at this disruption map. It's a little different. We'll just go down the list here. We've got, let's see, the most Portuguese airport, Porto Francisco de Se Carne. I'm not even going to try. Ever been to Portugal, Jason?
No.
What's the last time you worked an international flight?
To Europe, late 90s.
Yeah.
And then I was in Mexico. They don't consider that at American. They don't consider that international because you don't have to go over water.
Gotcha.
But I was in Leon, Mexico 2 years ago.
Oh. Cool.
So, yeah, actually, it was cool. There was a big soccer game going on, and the whole crew, we actually went out together and had a nice dinner.
Nice. That sounds like a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go fly somewhere. Looks like Dallas Love is on the list at number 5 of all things, as well as Dallas Fort Worth. You having rain and weather?
They're getting rain.
Rain?
Yeah.
Slowing everything down, obviously. Let's see. We got Malta is on the list. I'd love to go to Malta. There's some ancient sites in Malta that would be very cool. Birmingham. I believe that's the way you would properly say that if you were in the UK. Birmingham. Christchurch in New Zealand. Maybe that's related to the tracked flights. Manchester in the UK. Edmonton. Could be getting cold up in Edmonton. Surabaya in Indonesia, and West Palm Beach. Not too miserable based on their evaluation, at least. Doesn't look too bad. So, let's see. Going back to the main Flight Radar and the flight tracking statistics. Let's see. There's a drop in flights today, but going back to the 7-day moving average again. Back in 19, there were only 118,000 flights, and we're at 125 for the 7 days. So, 7,000 more flights. That's a lot more flights. So, Let's see. Archie says, I hear Jason real loud. Well, I can turn Jason down a bit. He's really not as loud in my ears, so thank you for letting me know that. Let's see. Badger says he loves Porto. Maybe I'll get there someday. So, Monday, if you were with us on Monday, there was somewhat breaking news from the day before about a Alaska off-duty pilot who tried to shut down the engines on an Embraer 175. Probably looked a lot like that, the Embraer. I see those all the time here in Boise. And I had a little trouble with Google or YouTube this week. Two of the links from Monday's show were flagged as spam. Both of them happened to be the MSN articles. So that was a really odd occurrence. Anyway, so we're going to go over this. And I know Jason is qualified, certified. What would you call it? You're able to go into the cockpit when a pilot leaves, correct?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct.
I don't know what you'd call that. Certified, FAA approved?
It's just, I mean, we're not qualified to sit in the jump seat. We stand there when they're doing their lavatory breaks.
Okay. Make sure the
so
other pilot...
there's never one person alone in the flight deck.
Yeah, that's a result of the... I never remember the airline in Europe.
German Wings.
It was German Wings?
Yeah.
All right. So it's probably... I don't know if Europe has adopted the two-person policy.
They have. And we always had it.
Yeah.
There never was a time when there was one pilot in the flight deck.
Now, I think I was on an A321, might have been. Is there... and I don't know if you can talk about this because it could be a secret, but I thought I saw, normally you see the flight attendants pull out the service cart to block the aisle. I saw what I thought was like an actual gate that was pulled out. I can't remember what flight that was on.
If you were on Delta, I mean, I don't know what they use. We don't have a gate.
That might have been a Delta flight. I have done a lot of Delta flying lately, so. All right, so let's go through the article, and Jason has other information. I don't know if he will share whatever he's able to share. How's that? We'll go with that. Oh, the family's getting pizza. I can't have pizza anyway. So let's go over the article real quick. An Alaska Airlines plane like this one. That one, operated by Horizon Air, had to divert to Portland, Oregon on Sunday after an off-duty pilot tried to turn off the engines in flight. So I've gone to reader mode to get rid of all of the articles. The link still could get flagged by YouTube. I'm afraid I'm getting attention. I'm getting on the naughty list, and I don't want to be, but we'll see. I don't think you're supposed to criticize people like people with initials like GT. Let's see. Where is she? There
How
she is.
dare you?
Yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to criticize people like her. Anyway, local and federal investigators suggested that the off-duty pilot Joseph Emerson, who is totally doxxed, I watched a video and the guy pulled up his I don't know if his LinkedIn profile or something, had been battling depression, and he had allegedly told them that he had taken psychedelic mushrooms in the days before the flight. The incident has renewed concern around the mental health care for pilots and whether they are receiving the treatment they need. Emerson was traveling in the flight deck jump seat, sitting behind the pilot and first officer when the flight, operated by Horizon Air, took off from Everett, Washington around 5 p.m. Sunday evening on its way to San Francisco. The Embraer 175 jet had more than 80 passengers and crew on board. According to a federal affidavit, the crew said Emerson gave zero indication of anything wrong during the initial stages of the flight. They said he was chatting about the weather in various types of airplanes. At some point, the jet moved south over Oregon. The first officer observed Emerson throw his headset across the cockpit and exclaim, "I am not okay." All right, it's time for the taser to come out and someone to go to the ground, in my opinion. I don't think I'm guessing that's not allowed, but that is not a big cockpit. Anybody who's flown on one and poked their head around the corner to look in there, the E-175 does not have a big cockpit.
Nope.
So continuing, that's when the pilots say Emerson grabbed the two red engine shutoff handles. The affidavit says the pilot grabbed Emerson's wrist and they physically engaged for an estimated 25 to 30 seconds, and then Emerson quickly settled down. The pilot asked Emerson to leave the cockpit, and then he walked to the back of the airplane. Emerson allegedly told a flight attendant, "You need to cuff me right now or it's going to be bad." This is just a nightmare scenario, isn't it?
Wow.
The attendant cuffed his wrists, and during the descent into Portland, according to the FBI, he turned towards an emergency exit door and tried to grab the handle. So he's in a flight attendant's jump seat in the back. There's really nowhere for him other than to be cuffed in front of him for his arm. He can't be cut. There's no armrests, right?
I'm not on the jump seat now.
So he's probably cuffed like this. So his hands are still free to create mayhem, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, until the air pressure was low enough, he couldn't open the door. I'm assuming this is like every other airplane. Yeah. But I don't know, 500 feet probably. The door might have been able to pop open.
Yeah.
And then if someone's not buckled down, out the door they go. Probably a flight attendant.
No, because the pressurization starting to equal out by then. Sometimes if you're sitting next to, or if you're toward the front of the airplane, you'll be able to hear when the seals start decompressing or depressurizing.
Okay.
It'll make a humming noise, and you can hear it even better on older airplanes. It's not unsafe, but it just you'll hear that air start to come through, and sometimes, like with anything, when you blow air through a small space, it can make a humming noise or a whistling noise.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So probably nobody's going to get sucked out of the airplane.
No.
Only an explosive decompression, I guess.
That is correct.
Yeah. So during an interrogation, Emerson told the FBI he had a nervous breakdown and had not slept in 40 hours. He said he'd felt dehydrated and tired. He told the agent that he pulled both emergency shutoff handles because I thought I was dreaming and I just want to wake up. Okay. The FBI agent says Emerson denied taking any medication, although he did talk about the use of psychedelic mushrooms. Emerson said it was his first time taking mushrooms, according to the FBI affidavit. I forgot to play my news music. Dang it. See, there's a squirrel moment for you right there, right in the middle of the meat. Anyway, in a separate affidavit filed in state court, officers from the Port of Portland police say Emerson told them he had consumed magic mushrooms about 48 hours prior to the incident on the plane. One of those officers noted that Emerson did not appear to be outwardly under the influence of intoxicants when they interviewed him after the flight. Emerson told Port of Portland police that he had been suffering from depression for 6 years and that a friend had recently passed away, according to the state court affidavit. Even before these latest details became public, the incident was receiving concerns across the aviation industry about the mental health of pilots. Aviators have long resisted seeking help for their mental health issues, aviation experts say, because they are concerned that they could be grounded by federal regulators if they do. Pilots are wired to deal with situations and get the job done, says Dennis Tyre, a veteran pilot and spokesperson for the Allied Pilots Association, which represents over 15,000 pilots at American Airlines. Pilots have a lot of invested in their training and careers and are afraid of losing it. You think that your job is at stake, the income for you and your family is at stake. If you don't have the mental fitness to get this done, I'm going to be grounded, lose my job, lose my home. And if these are all awfulizing, is that a word? I don't know. Is that a word? Anyone know? Anyway, the pilots go through that stop them from getting the care they need if they need it. I would assume it'd be a lot like if you're an alcoholic and you seek help for being an alcoholic, substance abuse of any sort. You can't lose your job. I mean, once you seek help within the framework of the system, I don't think you can lose your job. I would assume that's how it was at my old workplace. So I don't know. I am not a pilot. I don't even pretend to be one on TV. The stigma around seeking mental health care has diminished over time, but it has not gone away completely. Federal regulators are clearly aware of the issue. The leaders of the FAA have urged pilots to come forward and get treatment if they need it, saying they will not automatically lose their medical clearance to fly as a result. Even if you need to take medication to stay well, you may be able to get special issuance from my office, says Susan Northrup, who oversees the pilot medical certification process at the FAA. Is that true? I wonder. I don't.
So there's a list, and that's why that person said may be able to get special, and that's the problem is they're extremely worried about it. I mean, you talk about a massive investment in your career, and then losing that investment plus the pay that comes along with it. There are certain medications that you still cannot take,
Okay.
and they're listed in the FARs. And there's a list that they can take, but they need to get permission, and it needs to be known by the FAA what they're on and everything.
Okay.
I've only gotten a first class medical once. I'm a multi commercial licensed pilot. Never wanted to be a pilot. I guess I just wanted to blow money. But but I got my clearance or my first class medical once. That's what they have to have, and it's every 6 months they get checked out.
Okay.
Every 6 months.
Yeah. Anytime the government or a regulating agency uses hedging language like "you may," and I understand that there's probably some lawyer who makes them say it that way because they can't guarantee it. Because there are situations when I think if you are in bad enough shape, you shouldn't be flying, and they should take you, out of the rotation, whatever you want to call it. But that creates just enough doubt in someone who might be fully gone. Like this guy seems like he's around the bend. Certainly needs help. Yeah, I watched a video. I think it's a Barncolo or something. I never know how to say his channel name, but he is he's some sort of a pilot. He was actually doing a commentary for the Reno Air Races. I watched a little bit of that, but he does a lot of post-accident investigation videos on YouTube. And he was talking about the fact that the guy, so the handles on the E1 start, it's a really good video, and it's in my history, so I can put it in the show notes if you want to look at it. But the handles are literally right above the jump seat. He had to probably reach about this far to get to the handles, pull them down. What he was not able to do apparently in this video is you have to turn them to release the fire retardant, whatever the agent is. And they were able to keep him from getting him, I think, all the way down, so they never actually cut off the fuel to the engines, which is why the plane did not have a different flight emergency. Yeah, really. Anyway, so he is facing 83 state counts of attempted murder among, I think there's 83 counts of attempted manslaughter, maybe reckless endangerment, endangering the aircraft. So we'll see what happens here. Any deeper thoughts on this one, Jason?
Obviously his career is probably done, but
Yeah.
it really does bring to light the stress that the pilots are under, and how they don't feel like they can seek the help that they need.
Yeah.
Plus, with especially at regionals, the long days you have, and the amount of days. Even at mainline, we have our pilots do 4 and 5 day trips. Ooh. When I was flying regional, I did 4 day trips,
Yeah.
and it's just it's exhausting. And if you're was he a captain or an FO? I can't remember.
I don't know that I read. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, either way, a lot of times, I mean, especially first officers, I mean, they're doing a lot better now. They are doing a lot better now. But back before all these pay increases due to the pilot shortage and everything, this is no joke. They qualified for food stamps
Yeah.
because it was a very low paying entry position, which was highly desired because they want to get to the big bucks at the
Sure.
main line. But it really did bring to light, I think, an issue that still needs to be addressed, that is still swept under the rug a lot. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yep. You still see it. I mean, we have the for me my personal, the one that hurts me the most is when you see veterans
Yes.
who have not gotten, various government administrations have not really taken care of the veterans, in my
Correct.
opinion. That's my opinion, and most of my evidence is anecdotal, but seems like there are more veterans who never got help. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. Let's go. Let's check in on. Let's see. Let's go check in on chat. I think last one I remember reading was Badger loving Porto. So after that, Bodacious says, "Do you claim that it was from a bad mushroom experience?" I think he was just. I think he's trying to find anything that might lessen his upcoming federal prison sentence. That's my guess. So if he can claim it was a bad mushroom experience, maybe that plays in Portland. I don't know. I personally would have kept going to San Francisco if I would had the choice. I think that might have played a little better. I think Portland or San Francisco, hell, even Seattle these days. I think that probably plays in any of those cities. If it had been flying to Boise, yeah, that wouldn't play so well here. So I don't know. He claimed he had taken mushrooms, I think. So, Archie asks, can cargo flights break that one person rule?
What?
So if you are a cargo flight, can one of the pilots leave and go to the bathroom without someone going back into the cabin?
That's a good question. But a lot of times their doors aren't closed anyway because it's cargo.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's probably no.
Yeah.
There's probably no.
So there's no need to close the flight deck door or have it reinforced.
Yeah, that's a good question. You
And
don't.
generally on your most of your cargo flights, generally being international or what have you, there's 3 pilots, regardless of whether it's a 2 pilot or 3 pilot plane. It's required by, like UPS 757. It's technically a 2
Right.
pilot flight deck, but on any international flights, you have to have 3 so that each pilot can rotate in and get rest.
That's the one cargo plane that I've actually been on. The one and only is a FedEx 757, and it had a row of 3 seats just in front of the cargo bulkhead.
Yep.
So I don't know if it had any actual rest area, but all right. Let's see. Badger. Let's see. Asks Bodacious if you could have a bad mushroom experience. Not that he would know. I've actually I don't know either. I've been told, I have it on reliable sources, that it is possible. I'm trying to remember who that was. Somebody told me basically if you're in a good mood, you're gonna have fun. If you're in a bad mood, you're gonna have a bad time. Is what they told me. And I don't remember who that was. I'm old. I know a lot of people from over the years. I don't remember who told me that though. Bodacious adds that I think he was possessed. That's bad. That's bad.
We come in peace.
Maybe he had been probed by aliens. Anyway, Badger says it's a prison guard of almost 10 years. Never cuff hands in front. Yes, I've heard that. Probably on, maybe it was Badger told me that. I don't remember. I think this might have come up. I think we probably had this discussion when Jason was on last time about how you once you subdue an unruly passenger, what do you do to them? It's probably a good time for a lot of duct tape around legs and hands and around the seat and everything like that. Let's see. So Archie says, yes, that is a real word. I lost it. As we've discussed, I do math. I kinda. I don't do English. All right. Bodacious adds, probably magic mushrooms aren't on the approved list. I'm guessing if they're not on the disapproval list, they will be shortly, I would guess.
They are now.
Hey, would you like to buy a monkey?
I'll bet they're going to be on the you can't have those list. Hey, we have Rob Bart in. Rob asks, and this is a story we've gone over in past episodes, but it's always a fun time. Do we think everyone will abandon Delta next year? I think Delta is going to see a hit from all of their changes. I really do. I think American Express and Delta are going to lose a lot of card members. I think a lot of people are going to be moving to unaffiliated points earning cards, frankly. So I think I think they're going to have a rough time. So Rob adds that he was a captain.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So yeah, bad. That's bad. That's not the button. I wanted that button, but I missed it. So sorry about that. Archie says fatigue was a possible cause of Buffalo crash a few years ago. Yeah, I remember that. I think that, and that's what instigated the 1,500-hour rule, if I remember correctly. You can't operate as a commercial airline pilot, I think, if you don't have 1,500 hours of flying experience prior to that, I believe.
Yeah, because I had actually interviewed with Trans-States and Commute Air as a pilot, and I had 600 hours. And and then not too long, I was flying regional when that crash happened, unfortunately. But yeah, then they decided, and I had a check airman for Colgan on board my aircraft one time, and he said, this was before the crash, and he had said that you can tell they had lowered the minimums to 250 or 300 hours for certain airlines.
Oh,
for
wow.
certain airplanes.
That's hard.
And he said that the captain has to stay on top of the airplane because it's a lot of airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, even just going from single engine to multi-engine, when I did that, it's a lot of airplane. We're talking just about piston.
Right.
And I have 1 hour of jet time. That's all I've got. But,
wow. So that was an ATR 72, if I remember right.
No, it was a Q400.
Oh, it was a Q.
Okay. Yeah, because then I was flying for Republic at the time, and then we ended up getting their Q400s.
Okay, yeah, we don't have those in Boise anymore. We're all Embraers these days. Right. So, that was a bad deal. It's funny. What I remember of that situation is I don't know what you want to call it. The will to live sometimes causes you to make the wrong decision. And correct. If I remember correctly, the pilot in charge or whoever was flying pulled back on the stick because correct. they needed altitude. And in that scenario, the actual thing they should have done is to nose down to gain some airspeed so they got more lift.
Yeah, they were already too slow and they stalled.
Yeah. So that I think the Air France crash in off of between Brazil and Paris. I think that was a similar situation, kind of similar, but the two pilots had conflicting inputs into the Airbus computer, and the Airbus computer picked the co-pilot pulling back, I think. Anyway. Yep. Anyway, bad things. Let's see. Badger says it was a FedEx in 1994 Federal Express Flight 705. What's that? What's that, Badger? I missed that one. Archie adds, prime example of awfulizing a situation. Are you sure that's a word, Archie? I'm gonna write that down because I just seems I want to call
How about no?
I don't know about that. It sounds like George Bush pulling out strategery, which don't get me wrong, I love me anytime I can use strategery, I do, because I think it's so awesome. I don't know if it's in the dictionary by now. It should be, because it's a fantastic use of bad English. I love that strategery. We've got to get some... Anyway, I don't do very good George Bush, but I just love that word. We've got to come up with a new strategery. I don't remember how he used it, but... Oh, what a big brain on that guy, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to do lots of cocaine, and I'm still going to be president someday.
Yep.
I don't think... Anyway. Badger, co-pilot, yeah. Air France was an... Yep. It pointed out a lot of problems with the digital cockpit, the Airbus digital cockpit. I don't know what changes they made, if any, based on that. Anyway. Bodacious adds, well done, Archie. Awfulizing is imagining a situation to be as bad as it can possibly be. Catastrophizing is the result of that belief. English majors, anyone? Educators, perhaps? Archie and... I know Bodacious's background. Archie, do you have a background in education, perhaps? English, perhaps? You've never let any of your background sneak through, so I'm curious. If the fact that you came up with awfulizing is a real thing makes me suspicious. Former English teacher, high school English teacher, I don't know, who knows? But you've traveled. You've been to LAX and you know the spotting locations. That you have let go through, so I don't know. Interesting. One of these days, we will have a meetup, and we will have beverages of our choice, and I would love to get a lot of the backstories from a lot of you all. Clearly, Team Devastation Zone knows a little bit about me, so I don't remember ever getting a comment from Team Devastation Zone. Maybe just a longtime viewer. Radio copywriter. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So you have a background in words. I have a background in numbers. I don't know. It is what it is. All right. So the main gist of tonight. So we went over the breaking news. I shortened it a little bit to make it a little bit more impactful, I hope. Jason has written an article, and I have posted it on my website. So I thought today... we've complained about a lot of other, what do we want to call them? Faux articles from others.
Experts.
Yeah, faux experts. And so we have a real flight attendant, not a fake one. Like, I can't remember what, I think that turned out, I think, to be a travel influencer, such as myself, coming up with an article. I thought, since I got Jason here, we would go over Jason's article. As Archie says, either plus so much more about Jason or himself. There's probably a lot more about both, but, Jason does have a little, I've asked him to have a little show and tell ready. So we'll put him full screen here after we get through the article. But, so I'm going to go through the article for you all. If you haven't read it, if you have read it, I'm sorry, I'm going to read it again. Today, I've got a special post for you from my friend Jason Hobbs. Jason is an active flight attendant with American Airlines and has 10 true tips from a real flight attendant. I probably should have I'll caps that, but maybe I'll do it. Anyway. Jason has extensive experience in the aviation industry, performing multiple roles for many companies. He began his career as a ramp service and gate agent before becoming a flight attendant for TWA. In addition, Jason has an extensive roster of aircraft worked, including the DC-9 series, which I kind of miss those MD-80s, the Boeing family, and currently the Airbus A320 family. Probably 777 in there, I'm guessing at some point. Yep, I think I missed that. His first flight took place in June 1994, St. Louis, Portland, back to St. Louis, red-eye flight. I remember well because OJ was running from the cops in his white Bronco. Okay, did the glove fit anyone? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Anyway, is he? I don't even know what his status is. He alive still?
He's still alive, but I don't.
He did go back to jail on some other fraud charge. They finally put him in jail for something else. But he was very busy looking for the real killers. I remember him claiming.
Yes. His book, If I Did It.
Yeah. If I was gonna kill someone, this is how I would do it in 10 easy steps. I don't know, whatever it was. Before we get to number one, I see Logan X Gaming Zone is here. What's up? I love watching your airline reviews. Keep up the good work. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the good vibes. Oh boy, bodacious faux spurt. Fake expert. Let's get that in the dictionary. Faux spurt. Yeah, strategery. If we can get, I don't know if strategery is in the dictionary. If that can make it, then faux spurt can certainly make it. You just have to have the right TikToker, put it on their TikTok feed. I don't have TikTok, so I don't know. So, all right. Tip number 1 from Jason: dress for your destination. If you're going from a warm climate to a cold climate, it's a good idea to pack the flip-flops and wear warmer footwear. And I could have added vice versa. Also, if you carry on, have a sweater or light jacket you can use on a plane and at your final destination. There's my AI-generated person standing on the beach, even though it looks kind of like snow. That's AI-generated, by the way. I don't know if you like that. Let's see. We will, and if you guys have questions or comments, throw them in. This one I did clip off of internet search. Footwear is important, and I know this. I have a foot thing, so one of the reasons I pack, I check my bag is because I pack a lot of shoes. I have a lot of shoes I bring with me, and carrying shoes on, as our faux spurt said on the previous time we looked at tips, you shouldn't pack shoes if you're going to carry on. So anyway. So that's one of the reasons I check a bag. Comfortable shoes, not flip-flops, are advisable for safety reasons as well as practicality. The carts moving up and down the aisle can weigh up to 300 pounds. Running over an open toe can be quite painful. Also, if you need to run for your next flight, it will be easier in shoes. And one thing I didn't add here, and Jason did not either, in the worst case scenario and you're evacuating, there's a high probability of lots of sharp aluminum shards on the ground. So shoes that cannot withstand such things are not advisable for that worst case safety scenario.
Right.
It's very, 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 very unlikely, but it is possible. And so there's also, I think Archie even mentioned this once upon a time. He wears and recommends you wear all natural fibers on the aircraft as well for the same kind of safety reasons. I'm not going to go too far into that because I don't want to freak people out, because I love to travel, and people who are a little nervous about travel, when you start talking about the doomsday scenarios, they get a little freaked out and they're like, I'm never going to fly again. I might have one in the other room, so I'm going to avoid that. But yeah, don't wear clown shoes. It's kind of the point here. Flip-flops and clown shoes, probably not advised.
Right.
And this is actually, what was I watching? Some sports ball over the weekend, and this is actually a tip of some financial commercial. Watch the experts. I forget to tell people this one, but this is my favorite actually, Jason, because I get a lot of questions. You know what I do? I do travel videos, and people say I love watching your videos. They help me relax when I fly, et cetera, like something like that. Every once in a while, I get a comment. I'm petrified of flying. I'm afraid of flying. I'm whatever. This is the tip that I should be giving those people, because this is really the best one there is. If you are a nervous flyer, watch your flight attendants. We are trained professionals. Jason is, not me. Familiar with the sounds and feel of the aircraft. Flight attendants are trained in CPR and basic first aid as well, and can give many tips on helping with ear block. So I got to add this to my, when I get a question from a nervous flyer, how do I get unnervous? Watch the experts is a really good tip. Anyway, so I really like that one. I'm gonna have to use that one a little more often, I think, because I
Yeah, except I made a huge mistake when I first started flying, because I was I was very young but very energetic, and so and I just really wanted to help, and a lady, told me how fearful she was and everything. This is all pre 9/11, and I said, listen, as long as I'm smiling, everything's fine. Stupid. Because then the flight deck called me up. They just wanted their crew meals, but I went in the flight deck pre 9/11. We would just open the door and
sure.
go in, and I came out and I wasn't smiling,
Oh,
and she was watching me and she was freaking out. I'm like, no, everything's good. Everything
Yep.
is really, really good.
Unintended consequence.
Correct.
Yep. Especially in that scenario, coming out of the cockpit.
Yeah.
I could feel her pucker, like, oh, what have I done?
Yep.
What's going on? Kind of like that story I told a while back about the when the flight attendant came over. Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a problem in
Oh yeah.
with the entertainment system. It was that really long pause that was very unsettling. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Fospert, let's see. Natural Badger says, oh, Badger. Yes, they do. Natural fibers burn to ash. Synthetic fibers melt into the wound, or they melt and become the wound. Let's see. I should have. There you go.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh, I can't believe I did that. That's pretty bad taste. Exactly. All right, says Archie. All right, let's move back to check the bag. Napalm clip. I'm talking about fire. That's terrible. Checking your bag relieves you of unnecessary stress. I agree with it. This is when I check a bag, when I bring a carry-on bag, and only a carry-on bag with my backpack. I don't do it very often. I was like kept having to remind myself to grab my overhead bag, because I don't normally bring one. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't check a bag this time. Anyway, boarding and deplaning becomes easier, and filming is a lot easier when you don't have a carry-on bag. With less carry-on and stow, traversing through the terminal is less hectic, especially if you're in a rush. The likelihood of the airline losing your bag is not that high. If the airline does lose your luggage, they will have it delivered to you. And I've had that done 2 or 3 times, I think. And wasn't any big deal, thankfully. Worst case is I had to buy a t-shirt once. So, one time Delta delayed me overnight, and they gave me this little amenity kit, and it had the thinnest, crappiest t-shirt you've ever seen in it. I think I still have it somewhere, because it's such a terrible thing. You might be able to use it as a cheesecloth. I mean, it's really, really thin. It was terrible.
One wash and it dissolves.
Yeah. And I'm not svelte. I would say I'm thick, And so it would never have fit me anyway. I would have probably ripped it in half trying to put it on. I'd been like Hulk. Wah.
Yeah.
So I apologized to my passenger neighbor that day, single serving friend, saying, sorry, I'm stinky. Got delayed, and it happens. Kids and strollers. This is another AI generated image. You like that one? The funky looking airplanes in the background. But that's a lovely stroller. I've been playing with AI stuff lately. If you're traveling with young children and have a stroller, and I've done this, it's better to have a travel stroller. While the Cadillac of strollers may have all the bells and whistles to keep your child comfortable and entertained, it must be in the cargo hold of the plane where it's more likely to get damaged. Buying a cheaper stroller will save you the worries of having your nice one damaged. Yep.
Happens a lot. Happens a lot.
I'll bet. Do you like how AI put a little dent in the aluminum over here? I don't know if you can see that. Isn't that lovely? AI. It's only a matter of time before Skynet nukes us all. Anyway. Cheap seats may not be the best. Cheaper seats might mean that you and your family or friends might be separated on the plane. Most discount travel sites that have the cheapest fare usually sell the middle seat of many rows on the airplane. Did you wonder why that flight was so cheap on Travelocity? Or what? I don't know. I've never used Travelocity, so, or at least not for a long time. Airlines have adapted different pricing tiers for window and aisle seats, as well as premium, economy, and extra rows. If you've bought the cheapest fare seats from a third party and don't have the opportunity to pick your seat, you're likely to be in the middle seat on different rows. Because of the many options that people have chosen to pay for, flight attendants are not allowed to move passengers to get people together.
Asked almost every flight I get asked.
I bet.
They said that when I got down here that you could do that. I can't.
Nope.
That's what you paid for. I'm not gonna, especially a center seat. You're not gonna get rid of a center seat to a person that's got a window or an aisle.
Nope. Do you ever wish the gate agents did a better job making passengers put their carry-ons in that little sizer?
Yeah, and it's not. Of course, it's not the agent's fault. It's the airline for putting so much pressure on the agents. But you're right. I mean, that's another issue too. Everybody thinks if it has wheels, oh, it must go on the airplane.
The only time I've ever seen the sizer used was on a Frontier flight and a Spirit flight. And they actually made me put my backpack in the sizer on a Frontier flight one time, which
because that's how they make their money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One of the ways. One of the ways they make their money.
Yeah, big bucks. Bundles. They're the king of airline bundles. Don't buy the bundle, by the way. I don't recommend it. There's always something extra in there that you definitely don't need.
Correct.
Here's another AI generated. I asked it to make me a melting clock in an airport. Yeah. So important. So that's what it gave me. I kind of like that. Some pretty good images, really. Be aware of your connection times and do not take any connection less than 1 hour. 1 hour allows for slight delays and will help reduce your travel stress. I personally give myself 2 hours between flights. I have booked a couple 1 hour connections, and you got to remember boarding starts roughly 20 minutes before the departure time. So that 1 hour is 40 minutes. And if you're in a big airport like Atlanta and you have to change concourses, you might be screwed. And then you're hoping for the good graces of the gate agent not closing the door on you. Right. This is not a real human, by the way. That's also AI generated. Pretty good, pretty good looking dude, though. I mean, AI did a good job on that. The buttons are a little wonky, but anyway. International connections. And I didn't ask it for an international looking human. I just said, I need a human looking at their watch. That's what I asked for, and that's what I got. Along the same lines as above, if you're traveling internationally with a connection, you'll need even more time to allow for customs and border protection. I personally recommend 3 hours for international connections. I've had a 2-hour wait in customs and border protection in Seattle, I think, coming back from Paris one time. Seattle was really slow. They've upgraded their facilities, I believe, in Seattle. But regardless, the worst thing that can happen is you breeze through and then you have to go get a cup of coffee or watch people travel, which is, as I say, one of my favorite things. So
That happens a lot too because we'll get what we call misconnects where they're supposed to be on the flight, but they're not, and that's because they're stuck in customs.
yep.
And I can't stress enough that give yourself more time.
I don't know. It surprises me that airlines still allow some of those connections.
Yeah.
Delta has offered me. American has not, and if they have a tight connection, they always put a warning when you're looking at the bookings. American has always flagged this is a tight connection. You should be aware of that. Delta never has, and Delta has offered me a 31-minute connection before, which is 10-minute connection in reality. Yep. So.
Yeah, and actually with us, it would be even less than that because depending on the aircraft, like 737-321, we board 35 minutes prior to departure.
Okay.
And then everything else smaller, like the 319 or what have you, or the 320 is 30 minutes. So yeah, it's when I see it.
One of the things I really like about American's app is it tells you how many minutes until the flight boards. That's actually one of the favorite features I have of all the airline apps that I use. I think Air Canada did that as well. You know, you have 15 minutes till boarding starts. Really like that. I think that's a great feature of the app. Good. Delta does not do that. So, all right. Tip number 9: do not return home on the last day of your trip and plan on going to work the next day. Most people do, but while it's great to be able to have the maximum time in paradise, it does eventually have to come to an end. Having an extra day at home can give you a couple of benefits. The most practical one is that you have a day to rest and relax before returning to work or school. I agree with that. I would try to practice, especially if it's international. If it's international, I give myself a couple days typically.
Yeah.
While vacations are exciting, they can also be tiring. If you have an irregular occurrence, such as a flight cancellation, irregular operation, you call that in the industry, you still have an extra day before and won't have to take an additional day off of work. I always hated taking a day off of work when it was for something like that. Anyway. And finally, if your return flight home is overbooked, you have the luxury of taking advantage of the compensation the airline is offering to buy passengers off the flight. Here's another AI-generated human. I asked it for a tired traveler. Here's a tired traveler for you. So, not a real human being as far as I know, and I had to throw a robot in there because it is AI after all. Last tip from Jason: download the app for your airline. In the event of a flight delay, the flight attendants do not have the ability to contact the gate for you on your next flight to let them know you are coming. If you are running late, you can use the app to find out the necessary information to help you to your connecting gate, and worst case, through the rebooking process. And I have done this. I've had flights rebooked. I'm trying to remember. I had a flight delay that I suspected was about to happen because they kept delaying it. And I think I started talking to a customer service agent before it was officially delayed. And so I was already in the queue discussing it. I think I was talking to the agent. I think it was it might have been American, and it just happened to be. And I was talking to them via Twitter or X as it's called now.
X. Yeah.
And so I had started the messaging process, and so I was already like part way down the process of getting new flights. So, use your technology. So. That is AI generated. I asked it to say best internet, but for whatever reason, the AI tools that I've got don't like to actually put words on the images. So I got best kind of sort of internet stuff. So, If you don't know, you can find Jason on Instagram at JWHobbs4. Good stuff from his travels. He had some lovely photos from Baltimore this last week.
Yes.
That was cool. Let's go back and check out the chat. Not too many chats. I thought there would be more questions. Maybe everyone just agrees with the tips. So
They're hanging on your every word.
Every word. They're working on their strategery. Let's see. I think Badger. I think I'm at Badger. Because I had Fospert, which I loved Fospert. Where is...
You're one of those little fancy lads, aren't you?
That doesn't really work. How about,
Thank you very much.
We'll go with that one. My fake Elvis. Right. The Royal Navy learned in the Falkland Islands War not to use synthetic fiber uniforms. Oh, yeah. That's Yikes. Badger adds, my favorite AI image to date was somebody asked for a horse wearing an SS uniform smoking a cigar in the commander's hatch of a Cold War tank. Realistic. It was glorious. Well, challenge accepted. Let's see what my little AI comes up with, because I can. Because it is my show after all. Where is Firefly? There it is. So I use Adobe Firefly. It may not like the SS part of this. I don't know if I can copy this. I'm just going to type it in.
And while you do that, John, I'll be right back.
No problem. I will go to just me. There we go. You are free to move about the cabin. A horse wearing an SS uniform, smoking a cigar in the commander hatch of a Cold War tank. Realistic. All right, let's see what my AI tool comes up with. Can't load. Oh, come on. How about if I just make it a uniform?
I'm back.
It didn't like SS, I don't think. It's thinking. Huh. What do you think? We've got that woman with a horse tail coming out the head. We've got a horse that looks like a gun barrel almost. This last one down here is pretty good. I like that one. Kind of dig that one. How do we do, Badger? Meanwhile, Archie says, great tips, Jason. Bodacious agrees. Thanks for sharing. Archie asks, will I find L1011 pics on the Jason site? Love that aircraft. I don't know. That's up to Jason.
I'll add some.
He can add some. Let's go back to, I'm going to put Jason on mostly full. I'm going to be the little guy in the corner. So Jason, we've had a request from Archie in particular for, he digs the L1011.
My favorite airplane.
So let me get you over here.
And the thing I got from that is I was a member of the last crew of the L1011. So when we that flew, it was its very last flight, and then they gave us these certificates. And unfortunately, it wasn't that paint job. It was actually a red-tailed. It was a red-tailed paint job. This is probably my biggest prized possession, other than my wings. But the routing on that flight was we went St. Louis, Orlando back to St. Louis, and then a short hop over to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
and because that was a maintenance base for us, so they would strip all the seats out. They, basically strip the airplane, and we all signed the airplane in the galleys or the lower lobe galley because the L-1011 had that elevator system on it,
Yep.
and which was fun. But that was pretty cool to be a part of that crew because ironically it was an all I was junior then. It was an all reserve crew. They had to put it together at the last minute. The crew that was supposed to work it, they actually got stuck in LA. And so and they even had time to do the certificates and everything. This is the only it's not you can't even tell it's an interior shot, but that's a shot of me receiving the certificate. She was my supervisor, and we're in. If I don't know if it shows it. No, we're in the area though where she's next to the elevator doors. So
Okay.
but that's on the L-1011, and it was pretty cool. Kind of a great thing. I have a lot of pictures of L-1011s, and I'll put them up there. In St. Louis, we used to go sit at the end of the runway just like you do anywhere else nowadays, but and get those L-1011s coming in right over you, which was just wonderful, wonderful. So, um, but yeah, that's L-1011's was a great airplane, and just an airplane before its time, really.
Yep. They I did see what is it like Orbis? Uh they
Yes.
like got an it's like a flying eye hospital.
Eye hospital. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so they fly that. They is that the only one that's still flying?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's
Wow.
the actual last L-1011 flying, and I don't think I want them to be my eye hospital. That would be expensive.
Yeah. Let's see. So Archie asked. I think the answer Archie is yes and yes. I think Jason's gonna put some Elton 11 pics on his Instagram, and I think he answered the question. Work in the lower galley. Um,
I did once. It was a very senior position because you didn't have to be upstairs for boarding.
oh,
So, funny story about that is I was the one time I got to do it, and we had two people. One was in charge of beverages, and the other one was in charge of the meals down there. We had so the L-1011 you had on the floor, even by the doors when we would park the carts up on the main cabin level. They were pop-ups, but we called them mushrooms that the cart would lock to.
okay.
Well, in the lower galley, after you did all that, you were supposed to lock your carts on the mushroom. Some junior flight attendant who looked a lot like me didn't quite get a couple of them locked, and I went down after takeoff, and there was a lot of food everywhere.
Oh no. Huh.
And I'm freaking out, and of course, I'm flying with this senior mama, as they call me now.
Okay.
But I was flying with and she's like, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? She goes, honey, just put the food back on the tray and serve it. So
Eh,
I did.
sometimes,
But yeah,
sometimes what you don't know is better than what you do know.
yes, yeah, in that case.
Oh,
But yeah, it was a very senior position because you could stay down there the whole time,
well, right on.
and
Yeah,
there
that.
were jump seats down there that weren't occupied during takeoff and landing, but should you encounter turbulence, there were
Okay.
jump seats down
All
there.
right. Cool. Nice. Let's see. Can't, yeah. So Badger, going back to my little AI thing, can't say SS. Yeah. 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 Yep. Agreed. Archie threw in a holy cow. Royal Air Force has grounded all of theirs. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Any other memorabilia that you want to share?
I have a ton. Of course, these were my original wings at TWA,
Are they
and
metal?
then about 1997, 98, we upgraded to these, which I still love these the best because they were my first, but
Right.
then these are second. These I've seen on eBay for $375, but
I
to
buy
me
it.
they're
Yeah.
priceless.
Yep.
This was my we had a flight attendant that made these, and this was after we got the 7.5s, but this was my crew tag I
Nice.
carried, and I always forget the name of that mountain. What the heck
Matt
is it?
Rainier.
Rainier?
Yep. Matt
Rainier,
Rainier.
yeah. Yeah, and so he made those. He'd make them for you for $5.
The mountain was definitely,
Um,
as a former resident, we would say the mountain was out that day.
because this is my original tie. I still have my uniform, but that's
Nice.
my tie. I still have the epaulets.
Nice.
And I'll post a lot of. I have a lot of my. I think I might have shared some with you, John. But I have pictures from my graduation when I graduated from TWA and stuff. And then American bought us, and of course, then I got my American wings. Now these are the old ones, of course. Um, and since I had already been flying 5 years when American bought us, I got the gold. But American used to have. I had to get these from one of my new hire students actually because I didn't have any.
Oh wow.
And so he goes, "Oh, I have plenty. I'll just give one to you." I said, "Oh, okay."
Nice.
So they were silver. So uh, back before the whole new, um, what's the word I'm looking for? When you put out your product, your
Brand or
brand.
strategy.
Thank you. Before the whole new branding came out,
Uh-huh.
that's how you could tell newer flight attendants. They'd have the silver wings, and then us old folks would have the gold wings. And then also as instructors, we would get this, which would be instructor wings, so they'd know you were an instructor.
Nice.
Um,
They don't do
I
that anymore?
flew, sir.
They don't do that anymore?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and I have a pair of instructor wings from the new branding as well, and it's still a star. It's very similar to purser wings. That's so you can if you ever see somebody with a star at American anyway on their wings, they're either a purser working an aero body or an instructor.
Okay.
And then during the furlough after 9/11, I flew for Chautauqua, and they were owned by Republic Airlines. And we flew on the 135, 140, and 145s.
Yep.
But out of St. Louis, when I first started, we only flew for American Connection. And American always wanted their brand. They didn't want to be really just blended in with everybody else. So
Right.
we had these wings. But then once we started flying for out of St. Louis, we flew Delta, Continental, United, American, and I think that's it. But then we also had just regular Chautauqua wings, who basically flew for U.S. Airways. So these look a lot like U.S. Airway wings. I became a check flight attendant. And so I would sign people off coming out of training. We would do their first trip together to make sure that they could do the job that they were trained to do. And that was fun. And I did that on the Q400, the E170, 175, and 190, which I love the Q400 too. I'm a big turboprop fan, and it was fun to work.
Very different experience.
Yes, and a lot of short flights. Some of those we would have 7 legs a day.
Oh my gosh, that's too many.
Hopping between Denver, Colorado Springs, Aspen, Eagle, all that.
Yep.
All the short ones.
That's like a Denver to that's what, 30 minutes?
Denver to Colorado Springs is a 12-minute flight.
12-minute flight. So 30 minutes on the aircraft.
Yep. Yeah, the boarding time. Well, and at Chautauqua, I worked at Dayton, Cincinnati Dayton flight. It was 9 minutes.
Yeah. I'm always surprised. Those flights probably do pretty well too.
Yeah, because as you know, especially out of Cincinnati, it was expensive. Cincinnati had high fare, or Delta had at least high fares out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And so people would drive over to Dayton, catch a connecting flight, and it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
Instead of paying for the convenience of a nonstop or what have you.
I was watching the LA Flights guys, the brothers today, and they were
I like that.
tracking flights from like LAX to San Diego. I was thinking it probably was longer for that person in the airport than the
Oh yeah.
flight. Going through everything
Oh
in the
yeah.
airport, they probably, but you know, people do it. I mean, for me to fly to Salt Lake City, that's one of the shortest flights around here these days. Actually, in the old days, I've actually flown between here and Twin Falls, which is 2 hours by car, a little less than that. I actually
Yeah.
did that flight one time, and that was like, whoop, that was probably 12 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
120
It's fun.
miles.
I miss them.
Yeah.
It's fun to me. I like them.
Bodacious asks, "What's a purser?"
So purser, they're usually on wide bodies, or you'll see them on 757s. They're on international flights for the most part. There are some narrow body pursers, or domestic pursers, I should say. Not so much anymore, but there used to be back in the day. We had them. They're the lead flight attendant on the flight. They handle basically they're responsible for the whole crew, and it's a significant pay increase. And I had thought about doing it, but I became an instructor instead, and then now I can't touch it because the pursers got a huge pay raise of like I think it's $15 or $20 over what our max out rate is.
Wow.
And the last purser class they had, the junior person had been flying 35 years.
Holy cow. Yeah, because
Yeah.
if anybody out there doesn't know, the airline industry is it's not status, it's like seniority
Seniority.
driven. Yeah.
Very, very, very.
Seniority matters
It's everything.
a
Yeah.
huge amount. Yeah. So
It really is. Yes.
so for reference, Bodacious, on a particular flight around Miami, the person who gave us the bottle of wine, because I happen to know Bodacious and secrets out,
Really?
that individual was a purser.
Yeah.
So
And domestically, I'm a lead flight attendant domestically.
okay.
So, and it's still you don't have nearly the responsibility that you do for international, because international they're responsible for all the forms, your declarations for the crew, the passports for the crew, which I really hate, but that's our policy at
Oh,
American.
okay.
We hand over our passport to
Oh
the
wow, I didn't know that.
purser. I don't like that, but anyway, but yeah. So and they're responsible for all the liquor forms, especially going into London, who is very strict. You can't do a zero with a line through it. You know, if you write certain ways, like the seven with the line, like a German seven or something like that,
Uh-huh.
we actually have a class that teaches pursers how to fill out or write the correct numbers, because especially for London, London is so picky about how things are done, and it's probably for good reason, I would imagine, and it really is because it's a lot of inventory and what have you.
Sure.
So
Well,
and
I mean,
money and all that.
the British have a reputation for loving bureaucracy.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I'm not British. I don't actually know anybody who is, but
yeah.
based on pop culture and things that I see, they queuing is a big thing. You have to queue the proper way, and that makes me think of bureaucracy. So
Right.
Badger wants me to get a Telegram for messaging. I don't know what Telegram is. I'm assuming Telegram because then you could send me things that you couldn't send me here on YouTube. Is that correct, Badger? And I don't know. I'll have to look. I don't know what Telegram is. Some sort of text messaging, image messaging, because I'm guessing you want to send me the cigar smoking horse, is my guess. If that's correct, Badger, please indicate that in the chat. Oh, see, now it's not going to work. Are you not going to work?
And when I return, I shall be a cabin man.
All right, so Badger wants me to get a telegram. I will look into that because I can do that. Because I would really like to see that photo. Phone app messenger. Okay. Righty. I will look that up and see what that is. All right. Let's see. Anything else you want to share, Jason? Any other pictures, memorabilia, stories? You've been
I
traveling
mean,
this week.
I have a ton. What I'll do is I have a game room upstairs that has a lot of my memorabilia on the wall, and I've still got more, and I just got more from my father's estate.
Mm-hmm.
I have a ton. It's kind of my fetish. So I collect ticket jackets and what have you from back in the day. But another thing, I was trying to think about another article to write, but a lot of questions I get on the airplane is, or people will make fun of, is why is there an ashtray on the airplane when you can't smoke? You know
Well,
why? Do you know why?
there is a chance of someone breaking the rules, and you need a place to put it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And it's been a while since it happened. It was about 4 years ago. I had somebody light up on we were working a Super 80 or MD 80, and she lit up, and that smoke traveled through that cabin so fast. Well, that recirculated air.
Sure.
And the smoke alarm went off, and she freaked out and threw it in the trash can.
Oh God.
Which is what we don't want,
right?
the Air Canada incident back in
Yeah.
the day. But yeah, that how to open a bathroom door. A lot of people try to use the ashtray.
Yep.
Or they'll sit there and stare at it. So I'll say, okay, it's motion activated. Just no, I don't do that. But yeah, there are other things, just that I really want to talk about, things that would also help people. Probably what you do. We don't see you set up on the airplane, but I hope you don't put your bag in the overhead and then stand there and start pulling everything out.
I try to put it on my seat, pull out what I need, and then wait for a gap in the salmon so I can stuff it in the overhead should I need to. Normally I put it underneath the seat in front of me, so
yeah,
for my snack du jour and such.
The snack du jour, I love that.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm gonna think about that more. FAQs maybe,
sure.
on the airplane that I get.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I if anybody else has an article that they would like to see, I'm happy to. It's funny. I get a lot of unsolicited. Hey, I'd like to write an article for your website. Emails quite a bit, and most of them are how to eat carb free or something. Something that I have no interest in posting.
Which has nothing to do with your website.
Yeah, nothing to do with travel or the travel experience or anything like that. So I always like, no, I don't. No. I typically don't respond to most of those because it's just like, I don't think so. All right. So real quick, let's see. Badger says the horse is gone because it was on 4chan. Okay. That's too bad. I would have liked to have seen that. Archie says, please include the other links you spoke of in addition to Jason's link. Other links. What other links did I speak of?
You had mentioned something about one of your episodes, and you would include it in the link or in the description below. But it was about.
Oh, about the Alaska incident. That link, Archie, is that the?
Oh, it was.
Have to remind me, Archie, because I gotta get to it because
he made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel.
Because I have the memory of a squirrel or a dog. I don't know what I have the memory of. So Archie, if you could refresh my memory, I will try to post. I will for sure post the links to the articles that we did go over, as well as link to my website. Oh, hey, I went full screen. I didn't mean to. I don't know that I like Windows 11 sometimes. It does weird things. Let's see. Actually, it doesn't matter because I'm not showing my web stuff right now. All right. So let's go back to Collab Cam Opera. There we go. So there's the article. So Archie, if you're asking for his Instagram, there is a link right here. You can click on that link and it'll take you to Instagram. And there's photos from his recent cancel. Yeah, photos from his recent excursion to Baltimore. There's a lovely crew, Inner Harbor, I'm guessing. And what's the ship? I meant to ask you what the ship was.
Of all the things I didn't take a picture of, was the name of the ship.
There's some TWA stuff. Yeah, great photos. This of course, anything in the cock. Oh god, I can't make it bigger because I did not sign in, and I'm not anyway. So, some good stuff. I would drink probably every one of those there. Anyway, good stuff. Once upon a time, this is the Boise. This is the Capitol building here in Boise. So, Miss Jason on that one. I love that one. The 666.
Oh yeah, my hotel room.
Food pics. Always love food pics. You're making me hungry. Doggo. Always love the doggos. So good stuff. And so
that engine there was I took that. We were Narita had diverted to Los Angeles, and then the crew timed out, so they deadheaded us out to Los Angeles to pick up the 787, and that was a 787 engine that
nice.
They had stairs going up the plane for us, so I just snapped a picture of it real quick. I think engine shots are really cool.
Yep. I always try to get like a super slow-mo when I'm up far enough that I can see the fan blades in flight. Yes. I always try to get a super slow-mo. I haven't been very successful, but I keep trying because I just think it's so amazing.
If we ever get the chance to meet, I'm going to need some camera lessons from you. That's for sure.
Yep. All right. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, the cell phone cameras are amazing. They do a great job. But I still prefer my mirrorless DSLR light camera for most of the work I do. So that's just me. So Archie, if you have, Archie says we used to smoke in the back of the aircraft. I remember a group of about 10 standing in a 747 aft galley smoking. I remember being on probably a 727, on a flight from like Seattle to somewhere, and you know, people smoking on the plane and just wafts of smoke coming, you know, it's just like, yeah.
And cigarette burns in the seat.
Yeah. I'm
smoking on an airplane with highly flammable materials stuck in a tube at 35,000 feet. What a great idea.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
What could go wrong?
So Badger is asking, I'm assuming Badger's asking you this question because I have not met Jetting Julia. Have you met Jetting Julia? No, he says. Does she work for American?
Somebody mentioned her the other day. I think she does, yes.
She's famous.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody mentioned her the other day.
She's not... I'm nowhere near Jetting Julia famous, so, but that's okay.
We got to get you up there.
I'm having fun. I have fun with what I do, so that's the thing. Did I'm guessing either of our high school have a smoking lounge? I know mine did not.
Mine did. I remember them coming on the intercom saying, "Students, remember the north side of the cafeteria is for smoking."
Yep, we did not. We did not. So,
of course, we also had pickup trucks that had shotguns in the back of their window as well. So
I had that. I went
to school in Oklahoma, so
I did have Idaho, Oklahoma. I think you're at least Southern Idaho for sure. I remember a lot of my buddies, maybe second circle buddies. Because I never had a shotgun or anything, but they would come to school, and on the way home they would pheasant hunt, and so they had the shotgun in the back window of their pickup, and yes, it was a pickup for sure. So
yep.
Redco is here. Welcome, Redco. Is that a poke? Poke! Poke! No! Or no, this is better.
How dare you?
How dare you? Badger says his 84-year-old father loves Jitting Julia. I confess, I've actually not watched Jitting Julia. She's been suggested in my YouTube suggested list more than once. Yeah, I just, I dig Noel Phillips. He's just super uber nerdy. He's an av geek, and so I appreciate that part. So
yes, he is. I watch him.
Badger says smoking lounges and bikini car wash fundraisers, two things that would never fly in high school today. Yeah, you would get
How dare you?
that for sure. You would not get anything. Yeah, do I have anything that would I don't really have anything that would I do. Where is it? Oh, here we go.
How about no?
You'd get a lot of that. And then you'd probably be reported to anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. You would get in trouble for that. You would definitely not be able to do that today. Yeah. Redco says, I missed the previous chat. Did we talk about the Sky Miles outrage? Yes, we did. I had a question earlier from Rob Bart asked about that as well. I can kind of summarize my take on this. Is I think it's going to cost Delta a lot of money. I think it's going to cost American Express a lot of money. I think a lot of people are going. My personal guess, this is just a guess, but my educated guess, because I'm kind of in this space, I think a lot of people are going to cancel. I think the Capital One Venture and Venture X cards are going to do very well. I think the Chase Sapphire Reserve card is going to do very, very well because those get you points that can be used.
Yeah. I
know for a fact the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, you can transfer your points that you earn on the Sapphire Reserve card to United, I think American, Delta, Marriott brands, I believe Hilton brands. So you can earn points using that card and then transfer it to just about any other thing. Whereas I don't know if you can do that on American Express. The Delta branded cards, I think, earn you only Sky Miles. I do have the American Airlines, the fancy American Airlines card. I have this fancy one. I'm going to block out all the good stuff. Numbers are on the back, so I'm not showing you anything. But it's the nice metal one from Citibank. I suspect this is like the Delta version of the American Express card, and I get points. I get American Airlines points directly from that. You might be able to select another version, but I think people are going to move to unaffiliated cards. I really do. The credit card industry is booming. It's still booming. I read something a while back. I think Americans are in more debt than ever. I don't think we're going to change that. I've been seeing that headline on and off over the last 40 years, so I don't think that's going to change either. But yeah, I think a lot of people are just kind of, a generic card I think is more beneficial all in all. So what I do with my American card, I don't know. It's up for renewal, I think next May. So I've got time to decide whether I want to pay the hefty renewal or not, but I don't know. What do you think, Red? Do you think, I don't know. That's my take. Badger says, the smoking lounges. Badger's got the Amex Delta card. If you live someplace that you're only served by Delta, then it probably still makes a lot of sense to keep that. My airport, frankly, is a free agent airport. It's not dominated by any single carrier, so, makes it easy for me. Redco says, I haven't chased status with Delta for a decade now. I had looked to another Sky team member for reaching Elite Plus level. which are turned out to be easier and cheaper. Yeah, I think there's ways to do it. So if you're Sky Team, another Sky Team, I think Red goes to Mexico regularly. Is it Red? Did I get that right? You go to Mexico regularly? Perhaps Aero Mexico. That's Sky Team. Anyway. Let's see. Badger says Delta's free domestic flight voucher and free domestic bags are very nice perks. Yes, I do get the free bags with silver status. I will have silver status for one more year, I think. I'll finish this year and I will have it for next year. And because they raised the bar, whether I continue to pursue that or not, I don't really know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jason's American. He gets that non-rev stuff,
and jump seat,
which is where the seniority comes into play. I believe. I think seniority plays in some of that.
With American, it actually doesn't, and that's what's beneficial. It goes off check-in time. Every other airline is basically seniority. Even at TWA, it was seniority.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
But now, and you can check in 24 hours before your flight. So all of us, when we're trying to check in for a flight, we're sitting there waiting, and once that clock hits, everybody starts entering. So as a flight attendant, I also have the additional option of the jump seat. So
okay.
It's
nice. It's interesting because that's like my sister worked for Alaska and she would have something called Positive Space where she could guarantee a seat or she could do the non-rev and get put into a queue based on your priority. So
correct. Yeah.
So, interesting. So again, because I check bag with my American Express with my American Airlines credit card, I get free baggage with that card as well. So in a lot of ways, if you travel enough to make up for the fee, especially if I think it's for me and one other person with me. So if you're looking at $60 each way, $120, it doesn't take too long to pay for the annual fee. So that's something to be aware of as well. So, Archie, you didn't ever, I don't know if you're still here, Archie, but if you could clarify which links you wanted, I'll make sure to get them up here.
And I keep trying to think of what you said. I know you said it and I just couldn't.
The only one that I remember was the Boncarlio guy. Who went over the Embraer 175 handles in the cockpit.
Yes, that was it.
He had pictures. So
that was it.
So I will get that into the show links.
I think that was it.
I think that's the one. I think Archie may have hopped off, but anyway, that's all I got, Jason. I did have some other stories, but frankly, it's been a good show. I had a great time tonight. I've got let's see. I got 3 articles from David, who is not here this evening, which makes me sad. And so I will save David's articles till Monday when he is awake. If you don't know, David Lazarus is a regular here. He is in the United Kingdom, I think in the London area. I don't know that to be a fact. But it is currently 2:39 in the morning. So he's a trooper. And he's told me he sets his alarm to join the show, which I very much appreciate. I don't know that I would be as accommodating. So the fact that he misses a Wednesday night show from time to time, very rarely, I can think of twice in like 60 shows that he has been not here on a Wednesday, or the Thursday when it was. I really appreciate his continued, I'll call it dedication to the show, because that's pretty amazing stuff. When you get repeat business like that. So David's not here, but David, thank you for all of your support. So Redco says, I make rocket miles. Hotel stays yield free Delta flights, even though they're not partners. There's a workaround. Oh, interesting. A little skip lagging type of strategy, perhaps. Interesting. I have transferred I've transferred a lot. I've gotten a lot of free hotel rooms, and upgraded hotel rooms by transferring miles from my Sapphire Reserve. So I got to do that with my Venture card. I do have a Venture card. I don't really use it very often. I think I got a bunch of miles on there. I need to see if I can transfer those as well. So, all right. Any last chats coming in? I will give you a few more seconds. Let's see. What can I show you in the meantime? While I'm waiting to see if anybody comes along. Where did I do with my website? Where did that go? So real quick, I don't know if everybody has looked at my website. I'm going to go back to side by side, but I bring this up because Jason asked me kind of what I collect, and my answer was pictures, photos. And so I generally throw up galleries from my travels, and so they go up on my website. I don't know if it's possible to subscribe to the website necessarily, but you can check it out regularly. There's me looking very nerdy in front of got my little old round roll from early U.S. Army Air Corps, which there was one right behind me. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, so a lot of my photos, my favorite photos, go up on my website. So feel free to check that out. I don't really have any way to earn money on that, so you shouldn't be bombarded with ads and stuff. I do have plans to add my store here, and probably this will be the portal once I start offering travel services. Probably be, which I looked into that. I know Jason's been asking about that. I looked into that. I actually delved into the application process today, and it's bureaucratic. A lot of bureaucracy stuff that I have to do, it turns out. So stay tuned. I'm going to continue to stay tuned on that. I'm still waiting for my grade to post for my last test, but so my website will probably be the portal to do a lot of the travel agent payment processing stuff. So I got to build that. I happen to have a web developer who can help me with all that stuff. So, hey, I got animal and airplane collectibles coming in here at the end. Greetings, my son. I'm letting another one out of the bag there. All right, that's cool. Hopefully you enjoyed your pizza this evening. Anyway, so that's all I got. I have not really seen any last questions. I will be posting links, and hopefully YouTube does not flag me. And I didn't get a strike. I just got like a warning. You posted spam links. I'm like, no, I didn't. Well, of course they were MSN, so you could argue that MSN is spam, of course. But all right. So Jason, thanks so much. If you would
Thank you, appreciate it.
If you would stick around real quick, I'm gonna go to the end screen.
All right, I'll be here.
And that bag has been opened before.
If you're gonna spew into this.
Always good advice. Thanks everyone, and I will see you hopefully on Monday. Bye-bye.